Hi! Today we'll talk about two modal verbs that mostly express ability. They are can and could. These two are extremely common in the language, and apart from expressing ability, they can convey other things as well. In this lesson, we'll discuss what are the situations in which you can use can or could and what are their meanings. Okay, we'll be talking about the two modal verbs can and could together because they have a lot of meanings that are common. Can is used to express them in the present, while could is used to express these things in the past. But still, we should remember that these are two different modal verbs. And there are situations in the language where you can use only can but not could, or vice versa. You can use could but you cannot use can. So we'll discuss that in detail. Now let's start the 9 modal verbs of the English language, and we'll begin with the way we read them. Can is can. My younger sister can play the violin. I cannot or can't lift the suitcase. In British English, it's can't lift the suitcase. It's too heavy. As you see, there are two ways to create a negative form for can. It's cannot. It's the only modal verb that does that adds the particle not, like this, cannot. And can't, which is a shortened form. The meaning of these two is absolutely the same, of course. Could is pronounced with the sound U. We don't read letter O in this word, so it's could. And let's look at the examples. I could read when I was 6 years old. She could not or couldn't sleep in that hotel. As you see, can is used in the present, while could is used in the past to say that something was physically possible. Okay, expressing ability. This is the main thing that can express, but to express ability in the past, in the present, and in the future, we will have to use different verbs. So let's see. In the present, we say can, in the past, could, and in the future, we will have to address a periphrastic modal or modal phrase, will be able to, because can is not used in the future to express ability. In the future, be able to must be used. I can dance now. I could dance when I was at school. I will be able to dance tango one day. Okay, can as well as could express physical ability and skill, permission or prohibition, request, general truth, suppositions, and speculations. Then, can also express disbelief, and could can be used in conditional sentences to express hypothesis. To express physical ability or skill, be able to is used where can and could cannot be used. So, be able to is the equivalent of can for the future tense. Can express disbelief in negative and interrogative sentences, like he can't be so mean or this can't be true. Yeah, both these statements express that the speaker doesn't believe in something, yeah, or has doubts, because the information that he or she has just received is very surprising or controversial, and so on and so forth. So you see that can and could coincide in 5 meanings: physical ability, permission or prohibition, request, general truth, and suppositions, suggestions, while they differ in 2, hypothesis and disbelief. Let's talk about each of these meanings separately. Physical ability. So both can and could can express it. We use can in the present and could in the past. He's an ambidexter. He can write with his both hands. I cannot or can't run so fast. I cannot or can't catch my breath. Can she speak a bit louder? We could stay up all night long when we were younger. I could not or couldn't swim when I was 10. Could she speak his language when they first met? Here we speak about somebody's physical ability to do something in the present and in the past, or somebody's skill to do something. Could she speak his language? Did she have such a skill, right? Okay, be able or unable to and manage to can also express physical ability to complete an action. Let's see. I can lift 50 kilos with one hand. I am able to lift it. I don't need your help. I don't know how she manages to do this job. These three sentences are in the present, but each of them expresses a little bit different shade of ability. I can lift 50 kilos is my general ability. I'm strong enough and I can lift 50 kilos. That's my permanent physical characteristic, let's say so. I am able to lift it. I don't need your help. In this sentence, we are speaking about an ability to do something in a particular moment in the present. And we also stress that we can do it by ourselves without anybody else's help. I don't know how she manages to do this job. How she manages to. It expresses an ability to be successful in something. I don't know how she manages to do the job. So this job is demanding or difficult, challenging, and she is successful in it. This is what manages to expresses somebody's success in performing an action. Then the past. He could swim very well when he was a boy. Being an islander, he could swim that distance easily. He was injured and couldn't swim. The sailor was injured, but he was able to swim. The sailor was badly injured. He was unable to swim. The sailor was injured, but he managed to swim to the shore. In the first sentence, we speak about somebody's ability, physical ability to do something, or about a skill. Yeah, he could swim very well. He was a skillful swimmer. Being an islander, he could swim that distance easily. This sentence expresses a possibility in the past. So we presume that if he is an islander, he can swim. Being an islander, he could swim in that situation. But we don't know whether he did swim or not. He was injured and couldn't swim. Here we state somebody's physical inability to swim. He couldn't swim. He didn't have this physical ability in the past. The sailor was injured, but he was able to swim. We speak about somebody's ability to perform an action in a particular situation in the past. Despite this challenge, despite the fact that he was injured, he was able to swim. The next sentence, the sailor was badly injured, he was unable to swim. Again, we stress his inability to swim in a particular situation in the past. If we compare this sentence to the sentence with couldn't, the sentence number 3 in this set of examples, we'll see that this sentence, he was unable to swim, is stronger. We stress his inability. He's being disabled. Yeah? Whereas the third sentence, he couldn't swim, sounds more neutral. In the last one, the sailor was injured, but he managed to swim to the shore. Not only this sentence stresses somebody's ability to perform an action, but also it shows that the performance was successful. He succeeded in swimming to the shore. Both he was able to and he managed to swim show us that he did swim. But the sentence with managed to also tells us that the completion of this action was successful. And the last set of examples is about the future. I will be able to look through your article at the weekend. We will be able to understand them when our English becomes better. One day I will manage to pass this examination. Here we speak about the future, and as we cannot use can in the future, we have to use be able to express somebody's physical ability to do something. The last sentence, one day I will manage to pass this examination, as manage to can be used in any tense you want. Here it expresses a successful completion of something. I will manage to. I will be successful in passing my examination. Permission, prohibition in present and past. This can be expressed with the help of can and could. You can use my notes if you wish. I give you my permission. You can't smoke on the plane, it's prohibited. It's an informal sentence, yeah? So if you say you must not smoke, that's a formal statement, yeah? So you might read it somewhere, yeah? It is prohibited to smoke on board the plane, or you must not smoke on the plane. But you can't smoke, this is a sentence from a conversation. Yes, it is prohibited by the law, but you can't smoke, yeah? I can also express that in a conversation using a less formal can't to express prohibition. 70 years ago, people could drive without a seatbelt. So it was permitted, it was not prohibited. They could drive without a seatbelt. They said we could park the car next to the house. They allowed us to do this. They gave us their permission to park the car next to the house. Okay, to express permission and prohibition in the future, we will have to use be allowed to, because, as we have already discussed, can is not used in the future, neither to express a physical ability nor to express permission. But be allowed to can also be used in the present. Let's see the difference. Yeah, let's compare two sentences. Tourists are not allowed to enter the room without a guide. This sentence equals tourists cannot enter the room without a guide. The difference is the register of the language. Yeah, you are not allowed to do something is a very formal sentence, while you cannot do something is an informal one. You can inform your friend about a rule with the help of cannot, while you would write a rule at the entrance using are not allowed to. This first sentence sounds much more formal. Now let's look at two more examples, and in these examples, the sentences are not equal. We were not allowed to drive on the premises. This sentence expresses permission, actually a lack of permission, a prohibition. Yeah, we were not allowed to drive on the premises. And the sentence does not equal this one. We could not drive on the premises. We could not drive on the premises expresses our inability to drive. We couldn't drive. Nobody knows why. Maybe the gates were closed, or something happened to the car, or something else happened, yeah, but we could not drive. What we say here is that we were not able to do that. What this sentence also tells us that we are talking about our personal situation. We couldn't drive, yeah, so we are talking about a particular situation that we were in the past. If I say people could not drive on the premises, this will be a general sentence. It will state a rule in the past. So this sentence actually expresses prohibition in the past. People could not drive on the premises. Now they can. They can expresses permission in the present, and equals now it is allowed. Okay. Only those of you who have the tickets will be allowed to enter. As we have already mentioned, will can is impossible, so we have to use the equivalent of can, will be able to, will be permitted to. Yeah, both of these expressions are periphrastic modals, and we have a separate lesson on that type of modal expressions. Now let's continue. Request. Can and could can express request. Can I ask you something? It's a very informal question. You can address a friend with such a question. Yeah, can I ask you something? Could you post this letter for me, please? It's a more formal sentence, a politer version. Could you post this letter, please? Can I have your pen? Another informal request. Could I borrow your pen, please? Is a formal sentence, a formal, polite question. Could I borrow your pen? Please pay attention that may and might can also be used in questions like this, to request something. You can ask, may I leave earlier today, or might I ask you a question? Might be the politest way of requesting something. Yeah, might I ask you a question, Your Grace, for example. May I leave earlier today is a formal and respectful question, whereas might I ask you a question is a very, very formal question. Okay, can and could can express general truths. Winters in Nova Scotia can be very cold. It can be very difficult to find a job in this time of the year. Listening to very loud music can cause damage to your ears. It can be dangerous to drive in some mountainous regions. It could take months to travel from one country to another in the past. All these sentences express general truths or laws of nature or something which is generally expected to be true. Everybody knows that winters in Nova Scotia can be very cold. Everybody in the country knows that in this time of the year it's very difficult to find a job. Any doctor will tell you that listening to very loud music can cause damage to your ears, and so on and so forth. It could take months to travel from one country to another in the past. The last sentence, the last example here, expresses a general truth about the past. Yeah, so it could take months to travel from one country to another in the past. Now it doesn't. Okay, suppositions and speculations can also be expressed by can and could. Let's see. Who can that be? It can be our neighbor. He comes around from time to time. In such a busy city, one can use subway to save time on traveling. The rush could be a symptom of something more serious. These are the speculations of the speakers. Yeah, so who can that be? I think it is our neighbor. Yeah, because he has this habit. He comes around from time to time. So I think, I presume, I suppose that it should be our neighbor. In such a busy city, one can use subway to save time on traveling. I suppose that it is possible it will help to save time on traveling. The rush could be a symptom of something more serious. I believe that it can be true. Okay, please note that can and could in this meaning are used interchangeably. Both can be used in the present tense. The last sentence, the rush could be a symptom of something more serious, can be said about a situation in the present. You can or could learn a language by yourself. I guess he can't or couldn't take a rat into his hands. He's too scared of them. You can learn a language by yourself, whereas you could learn a language by yourself. You could. This sentence reminds us of a conditional sentence. You probably could on a particular condition, right? I guess he couldn't take a rat into his hands. It's a very suppositional sentence. May and might are also used to express speculations, as well as the words perhaps and maybe. The rush may or might be a symptom of something more serious, and perhaps or maybe the rush is a symptom of something more serious. May and might are weaker than can and could, and might is weaker than may. If you're almost sure that the rush is a symptom of something, you would say the rush must be a symptom of something serious. If you are not that sure, you would say the rush can or could be the symptom of something. If you're less sure, you would say the rush may be a symptom of something more serious. And if you are not sure at all, you can suppose it with might. Yeah, the rush might be a symptom of something more serious, but I don't know, right? Perhaps and maybe are also the words that express the same idea. Perhaps and maybe. They actually show doubts. To express ideas about something we are sure of, must is used. Who can that be? It can be our neighbor. He comes round from time to time. Who can that be? It must be Alex. He's forgotten his keys. In the first example, we are not quite sure whether it is our neighbor or not, but we presume so, yeah? We suppose so. In the second sentence, we are sure that it's Alex, yeah, because we know that he has forgotten his keys and we expect him to come back. Hypothesis. Here we'll talk mostly about conditional sentences. Let's see. He could learn English much faster if he were more attentive. Were I the CEO, I could greatly increase the company's sales. If we hadn't been late, we could have done much more work yesterday. They could have crossed the border on board one of the cargo ships. If I could, I would change places with you. We could be happier if we had a little bit more money. All the sentences are conditional sentences of different types. And as you see, only could is used here. We hypothesize, we speak about something which is not real in the present or was not real in the past. We presume that he could learn English much faster on condition that he were more attentive. But he is not attentive, that's why he can't learn it fast. Were I the CEO, I could greatly increase the company's sales. Again, this is the second conditional, but it is inverted. We don't say if I were the CEO, we say were I the CEO here. And it also expresses a hypothetical situation, a situation which is not real in the present. If we hadn't been late, we could have done much more work yesterday. This is the third conditional, because here we speculate about a situation in the past. It's our hypothesis about the past, right? They could have crossed the border on board one of the cargo ships. Again, this is the third conditional, and we speculate about something that could have happened in the past. And so on and so forth. Okay. Disbelief can be expressed with the help of negative can. You can't be serious. Why would anyone want to leave this job? He can't be your boss. He's 10 years younger than you. This can't be so easy. What's the catch? She can't have done it by herself. I'm sure someone's helped her. Pay attention that we use the perfect infinitive here, have plus past participle, but we still prefer to use can't, not couldn't. She can't have done it by herself. He can't have been at home. He would have opened the door. All these sentences express disbelief about something in the present or in the past. Let's look at some idiomatic expressions with can and could. There are a lot of them actually. Can't help or cannot help plus gerund. I can't help listening to this song. He cannot help thinking about her. This expression, can't help or cannot help doing something, means that I cannot stop. I want to do it again and again and again. Cannot but, could not but plus infinitive is a little bit different. I could not but see the evidence with my own eyes. We cannot but invite them for a cup of hot tea. We couldn't resist something. Yeah, so here we speak about a situation in which we were unable to resist. Cannot help but plus infinitive. I cannot help but laugh at what she says. We cannot help but cry looking at all the damage done to this place. Cannot help but plus infinitive means we couldn't avoid it. It's a British expression though, yeah? I cannot help but laugh at what she says. I don't see any other way I can behave but laugh. Laughing is the only thing that I can do in this situation. Please pay attention that the first structure, I can't help doing something and cannot help but do something, appear to be very similar, yeah, but they have different meanings. I can't help doing something means I can't stop. It's something that I continue doing and I cannot control myself. Whereas I cannot help but is a conscious decision that you believe to be the only right thing to do in a particular situation, or the only acceptable thing to do in a particular situation. Cannot, can't, couldn't, choose but plus infinitive means to be obliged to do something. She cannot choose but stay with her parents. She is obliged to. Yeah, she doesn't have another choice. The dean cannot choose but have him suspended from studies. He was obliged to. He had to. He was forced to do it. Yeah, because there was no other way he could treat him. Okay, cannot, can't, couldn't help oneself plus infinitive. I know I shouldn't check the messenger so often, but I can't help myself. The cake looked so delicious, the boy couldn't help himself and ate it. This structure is very similar to cannot help doing something, yeah? You have an urge to do something and you cannot stop yourself. Can't, couldn't, stand plus gerund or infinitive or somebody or something, an object. I can't stand working in an office while my friend can stand working from home. The children can't stand to hear them arguing every night. I can't stand your jokes about people's appearance. Can't or couldn't stand means hate. I hate working in an office. The children hate to hear them arguing every night. I hate your jokes about people's appearance. Now let's see how can and could are used in some popular songs. But if I had you, that would be the only thing I'd ever need. Yeah, if I had you, the money, fame and fortune never could compete. If I had you, life would be a party. It'd be ecstasy. Yeah, if I had you. I'm pretty sure the majority of you have recognized this song. It once was very popular. It's If I Had You by Adam Lambert, and you see that could here expresses inability. So the money, fame and fortune couldn't compete with you. Another example is this. She could hear those church bells ringing, ringing, and up in the loft the whole choir singing, singing. Fold your hands and close your eyes. Yeah, it's all gonna be all right. You just listen to the church bells ringing, ringing. Yeah, they're ringing. That's another popular song by Carrie Underwood, and it is called Church Bells. She could hear. Could hear expresses a physical ability to hear in the past. She could hear those bells ringing, ringing, and ringing. Okay, I do recommend you to find these lyrics on the internet, to find these songs and to listen to them, because learning languages with the help of music is not only fun, but is also a very productive way to learn both grammar and pronunciation and to get to know some new words. So it's a great thing to do to both have fun and to learn the language. Okay, this is all I have to say about can and could. If you still have any questions, please leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and see you in the next lesson.